Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Sunday Comic Book Hangover Show. I am Hagen of Lettuce Comics, and I'm joined, as always, by my lovely wife, Nate from Hollyyak Comics. And
Morning.
we have got two special guests today. So, Brian, why don't you go first? Introduce yourself and tell the people who you are and your little your elevator speech, I guess.
Brian LCS, YouTube for over 4 years now. CBC Awards. I do a little award show every year, the CBC Awards, and big. I think you can tell by the background. I like Spider-Man.
And comic book author and creator.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Two issues in and working on issue 3.
Awesome.
I think that there was a question about that in the chat a second ago, and we will get to that. But before
we'll
that,
circle back around.
Still only 35 cents, my friend. Why don't you go ahead and go next, bud?
Oh, I'm good to finally join you on one of these. I've been a long time. Well, how long have you been doing it now?
Ooh, that's a good question. Couple months.
Good question. Couple months.
Long time listener, first time caller. Is that how it goes?
Something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly. I'm an internet lurker who watches a lot of comic book YouTube and decided to take the plunge himself. Just over a year and a half ago, I think. Yeah, a year and a half ago. To do vintage comics more than anything else. But yes, loved watching everybody else, and love watching channels like yourselves that have Hagen and Nate that seemingly came out of nowhere and are fantastic content that I love watching. The humor always gets me. So it's great company, and Brian obviously with the awards. So
well, only a year and a half. That's actually surprising. I mean, you have. We'll talk about that too. You've got slick production.
Dave came in hot. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, before we get too into it, I want to go ahead and point out the people that have already been here. And it started very early. Christina at 2:03 a.m. started dropping links and doing that thing that she does so well. And I think actually shocked SideQuest out of his stupor because at 2:15 he joined in.
He's always first at some ungodly hour, like right before he goes to bed.
JSS Brooklyn, how are you doing, my friend? And then Hayden, my neighbor, is here. Rich with a great profile picture. I don't know that I've seen. I don't know that I've seen that around.
Welcome,
but hey,
Rich.
buddy, I hope you're doing well this morning. Big Nasty.
That's another Rich.
Another Rich.
He's on next week.
Dope. Hey, bud.
Good morning, Dope.
So many people that are coming to Heroes Con, which I'm sure we are going to talk about.
It's gonna be crazy.
And here's SideQuest awake. K Munin. Hey, dude.
The scoffer.
Michael. Just Michael.
Just Michael.
The comic collector formerly known as Michael. Comic Mike is in here. I don't know if I already said Wellbore, but Wellbore is here.
Oh, hey, Wellbore.
Doug, Coach, Matt, and I think... Nope, sorry.
Nope, Stevie D.
Gotta mention Stevie D.
Love me some Stevie D. I saw Justin Birch snuck in.
Yeah, there he is.
Friend of the FOMO squad. Good morning. And Brent Soboleski.
We've also got
Jeff from Comic Spa.
Yeah, Jeff, one of my dads. Dead Man Comic Cover Show. Wow, there are a lot of people.
Terry, a fellow Brit there for you, Dave.
Ooh.
Brent Soboleski, like you said earlier, it just took me a second to get down to him. And I think that's it. So maybe a good place to start would be the thing that all four of us have in common, which is we're all headed to Heroes in like a month, and we have varying degrees of experience with it. So I've been to Heroes Con once. Nate, you haven't been at all.
Never.
And like Dave, you've had a panel at Heroes Con, right?
No, so that was
SDCC.
Yeah, but I've done Heroes.
Oh,
I've done Heroes
just
twice.
San Diego.
Just San Diego.
It's just San Diego. I mean, it is small. It was a small con, little panel at a small con. Holy shit! Who are you? International man of mystery down there.
That came about through someone else threw me a bone in terms of they wanted me to sort of co-panel with them, so that's how it came about. But it's something I really enjoyed it. I want to do it again. Maybe not at San Diego, but if they, although I was given the option this year, but because I'm not going, didn't do it. But I'd love to do it at other cons. But the problem is, I want to. For those that go to cons, you're too busy doing everything else that you need to do. So I've been to Heroes twice. First time as just a regular punter, and then second year as a YouTuber. So two very different experiences in terms of, I didn't know anyone in YouTube. Oh, I knew of people in YouTube, but I didn't know to meet anyone. But then the second time, that was the piece that really amped up the whole experience, because it went from just being a con to being a meetup as well as a con. And just having, that as in the evenings was just great, because you were able to sort of hang out with people and, meet certain people and have fun, basically, talk comics. So
yeah, I definitely looking forward to that. Brian, what's your experience with Heroes?
So last year was my first time at Heroes.
Okay.
And so it's a little overwhelming because, at least from a con perspective, the con is an amazing con from a comic book vendor. I mean, I've been to New York Comic Con, I've been to Terrific Con. I don't think there's any other con that's really more comic centric than Heroes. But then, like Dave said, all of the meetup side of it, where are we going for breakfast? What are we doing? Where are we getting dinner? What are we, just all the outside plans and just seeing so many people on the con floor that or meeting for the first time. So definitely, you have to pace yourself for sure, because there's a lot going on besides the comics. So.
Sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say, to me, the guest list is insane. Like maybe Terrificon, but it seems to be the most concentrated group of creators and artists I've seen at a convention.
I think it's so yes, it is. It's extensive. I think that the last year's list was much broader. So I keep going to the site to see who else is being added. So, for instance, I think Walt and Louise were there last year from memory, I think, but they're not there. And there was a few others that were missing that were there last year. But, for the vast majority, there's, everyone's there.
Yeah, I mean, they're still announcing. I saw yesterday on Instagram that here, I forget, they were rolling out every half hour or so another post with, different guests. So they're still
cool.
Yeah, it's still not finalized. So
still time. Yeah.
So there's hope that you got Mark Russell an invite.
I hope. Yeah. So that actually worked last year. Jenny Frizen wasn't going, and I think it was Collecting with Durs started tagged Heroes and and then tagged her, and she ended up being there. So
awesome.
It's like, oh, maybe we can do the same thing this year.
Yeah. Very cool. Are you guys going? I am going with no plan, like other than to hang out and maybe trade for something. I know it's stupid, but I'm not. I don't know. I'm not a big big key buyer or anything like that. I'm honest to God. I'm going for the experience and the hangout more than anything else. And anything I get is gravy on top of that. And Hagen and I have both said, if I walk out without a single comic book, if all I have is my memories, I'll be ecstatic. I'll be very happy. But are either of you, like Brian? I know I know you're trying to finish a couple of runs with your Star Wars and Marvel team up, but are either of you going to the con with a particular book or something you're hoping to get?
No, no big book for me. Really, just trying to work on. I'm working on. I don't know how many different runs at this point, but I've been focused on the original Star Wars run and the Marvel team up, and they're relatively inexpensive. So I have one book for Star Wars 68 to pick up, and that's a little bit of a pricey book. I mean, probably $100 raw. And then just some team up books that I want to kind of focus on. Nothing too big, and just trying to stay focused on completing those runs.
Cool. Dave, what about you?
So my advice to you, Nate, is to if you're looking at, I'd have a little bit of a plan, particularly around the creators.
I'm bothering so many people right now.
I would like, seriously, the creators piece is the one that I always focus on first, rather than the books, because I can always you've got time over the 3 days to essentially look through the books, and you will find, because you can't avoid that.
Yeah.
And actually, the other thing that's really good is that the community, if you are looking for a specific book, you tend to find that gets around, and someone will come to you and tell you that there's a book available here, or multiple books. I think Sean from Zars Comics and Collectibles, he was looking for an X-Men 1, didn't get it, but everyone was looking for an X-Men 1 for him.
Yeah.
So, but the creators is a key piece. Case in point, at Comic-Con Revolution this weekend, I got there at 10 o'clock in the morning. I think there were Mark Bagley, Ron Lim, Chris Backlow, and not one of them. Queues were out the door. Couldn't get the guest list. So that's the piece that I would give you advice on, is if you are going for a specific or creators, do that first. Like that's the thing you need to do.
And that is one of the things. I mean, I say I have no plan. I have nothing written down or decided yet. But yeah, there are a lot of artists and writers that I would love to get a signature of.
Yeah. So I keep a little notepad, and they're on there. And essentially, I'll plan the time, like the ones that I must have.
Yeah.
And then literally go down the priority list. I think I've got like a list of 15, 20 names, and they're all prioritized down. So then I know which ones I'm going to do first.
Who's at the top of the list?
Well, one at the top of the list is John Romita Jr., but I've got there's a VIP pass that you can buy for him, and you get 10 books and a sketch. So I've signed up for that on the Saturday. So that takes a lot of the pressure off, because he was the big one that I wanted to get. But outside of that, Wendy Peeney, Richard Peeney from ElfQuest fame. I'm not sure. Marv Wolfman's not going yet. He's not confirmed. I've done Claremont, and the queue for Claremont is ridiculous. So if you're looking at Claremont, you've got to get there. It's ridiculous o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those just the usual stuff. Oh, Jim Shooter. I wanted to get some more stuff done by Jim Shooter.
Yeah.
What about
Ryan? Do you have any creators you're wanting to get signatures from?
I'm not a big signature guy. I kind of think about it sometimes and like, well, should I be? But I'm just not. I don't. It's just hasn't been. Like last year, I was online with John Romita Jr., but I was there with Freaky Louie, and so he had his Spider-Man cosplay and a backdrop, so I was kind of like his assistant, and so I got to meet John Romita as I was taking pictures of Louie with John. But it's not one of those things that I'll never say never, but right now it's not top priority for me. But I think about some of the creators, like Stan Lee, and that we've lost, and so not having that opportunity, I'm back and forth on the idea. But
yeah, the only signature that I'm hunting is Jack Kirby's, and I'm not going to stand in a line for a Jack Kirby signature,
Right, exactly.
But yeah, that is a good point, because I've even thought, like, I'm not an X-Men person at all, but Chris Claremont is he's a very important figure in like this hobby that we have, and so I've like gone back and forth about whether or not, I don't think I will this time, but like whether or not I would want to sit and wait in a line. You heard it here first, folks. Breaking
news.
I've read the chicken bones, and I can promise you that Jack Kirby will be there.
I mean, we're fingers crossed for Simon too. You know,
it's not Jack Kirby that we know though. It's just regular old Jack Kirby.
Well,
there might be a Jack Kirby there. Yeah.
It's a Jack Kirby. It's the Jack Kirby.
It's someone's son named Jack playing Kirby on a Switch. Is what it is. But yeah, no, there are the only artist that the only person that I've seen that I'm like super excited about seeing, and that I think that I will actually like dedicate time to waiting in line for is Dennis Cowan. I don't know what I'm going to have him sign. I have a question number 1 that I could, but I really like his stuff, and I don't think his line's going to be like out the door or anything. Yeah. So
that's where I am with Mike Grell. Like I'm going to have him sign my first issue special, and I don't think that line's going to be too bad.
No, that line. So I did Mike Grell last year, and you're right. I mean, that's the thing. Some of these sort of, I say smaller artists, they're not really smaller creators, right? Like they're big, but they go under the radar because I like the fact that I'm after all of the classic old guard, and that's why Mike Grell's perfect, because it's, they go under the radar because everyone's after the sort of either the massive big name or the hot thing.
Exactly. And these guys are legacy creators, and they definitely have a fan base, and they have an amazing body of work, but it's not, they're not the hot thing right now. It's Jenny Frizen's line that's going to be out the door. And, JRJR obviously is going to be an insane thing too, but like you and Eric bought the pass so that you don't have to worry about the line as much.
I've just brought the list up actually that I my little short list, and I've realized who I missed. Art Adams is on there, so I want to get a sketch like Art Adams. So that's going to be need to get in first thing, run straight to his desk, cue, and who else is on here?
He is so good.
Mike Grell was on the list. Mike Grell's on the list. Who else have we got? Jim Starlin. I got Jim Starlin last year, and I'm trying to think of others that would. Al Mil. I always try and touch base with Al Milgram. I've interviewed him a couple of times. He is a great character as well. So it's just nice hanging out and chatting with him, because he'll like some of them will talk the hind legs of a donkey if you let them.
That's awesome.
So it is awesome, but it's bad when you're in a Chris Claremont line.
Yeah, but I mean, but what other like hobby or fandom can you get that kind of interaction with the people who create the thing you're addicted to? Like, I mean, that's just it's not. I can't think of anything that has like a thing like this. Like it's all the nerd stuff, and I love that.
So, Brian, if you're not going to be wasting your time standing in line like the rest of us are going to be, what are you planning on? What are you planning on wasting your time with at Heroes? Like, I know that afterwards and before, there's going to be like grabbing breakfast, eating chicken, like the stuff around it. But like at the con specifically, like what are you planning on doing?
Yeah, I mean, just trying to hit as many vendors. I think last year. I got caught up a little bit with just, bumping into people and hanging out. So I was on the con floor for most of the, when it was open, but I didn't hit a lot of the vendors, and there's a ton of different vendors. So I really want to focus more time when I'm during the day, just going around and looking for books, and I didn't really visit a lot of the other artists and some of the creators that are there. So really just, I really want to make sure I get a full lap in around the whole con, which I really didn't do last year.
Really?
Yeah, just because, you were hitting certain vendors, and then you would bump into somebody, and then you were talking with them and taking a photo and swapping stickers and, chat. And it was like this constant bumping into people. And then, like I said, I bumped into Free Key Louie. He was going to get, his photo with John Romita, and so I was like, oh, I'll come and help you, and so that took up a good chunk of time, and it's just like before you know it, it's like the lights are flickering and it's the con's being closed. You got to go, so it goes pretty quick.
I have this
Yeah.
problem when I go to cons, and I didn't at Heroes because I went for like one specific thing last year. But I will go to like the first booth, and I'll dig, and I'll be like, "Ooh, I want that. Ooh, I want that. Ooh, I want that." And then I have a stack this tall, and I'm out of money, and I haven't been to any of the rest of the
Right,
con.
exactly. Yeah.
I was just wondering if you guys had tips and tricks on like specifically like con hunting, because it is a different environment than like going antiquing or going to a flea market.
I mean, last year I picked up an ASM 129, so that was that was the goal for the con, and so I just went around to as many vendors as I could to see who had the book, what grade, what cost, and kind of just took notes and kind of. So I was there all 3 days. I kind of did my homework on Friday and then bought the book on Saturday. I found, the best price, best grade. But that was I spent my day Friday just looking who had it, what was it graded, raw, what was the cost, and then pulled the trigger on Saturday for that. But then, that was pretty much my budget. So then it was just a lot of dollar bin diving after that point. So
I've sort of got to the point now where I'm collecting obscure enough stuff that I don't have to worry about someone buying it. So it's which is good. And a good case in point, at the con yesterday, there were 2 booths that had really good. So I'm a high grade. It has to be high grade, otherwise it doesn't go in the collection. So that's why that's the extra dynamic that I have. It's not, I don't just want the book, right? And I don't grade at the moment, but it's more just so, I like the idea of them being as pristine as I can get them. And so that also adds another dynamic to it, because they generally tend to be as pricey as possible. So I always try and find the dealers that have the highest grade books, and that's always the smallest selection. There were only 2 at the con yesterday, and so I just dug there. But normally I do like Brian says, go round first, and then I'll just go back and go, right, you can tell the ones that are higher grade versus lower grade. And sometimes you find a high grade dealer with low prices, but that's not always the case. They're generally, if they're high grade, they're normally like ridiculous. Or you get like terrible grade books, high prices, which we had a couple of those yesterday as well. So it's the same. It's the same as every con, right? All the dealers are, some are good, some are bad.
I agree. Like, I feel like the walk around first, and then, to just kind of get a sense of where things are. But then what Dope says makes sense too. Like, screw it. I'm going to do things on Friday, so I see how much money I got left for food.
Yeah. It's a good point.
That is a very good point.
I don't think either is wrong. Like, I think it just depends on what you're doing and what you're looking for. I just plan to be very overwhelmed in the best way. That's what I'm looking forward to.
I think the good news is if you are looking for something even very niche at Heroes, I think you'll find it. Somebody will have it, because there's a variety of vendors with, a ton of books. Like I said, for me, ASM 129 is it's a common book. There's a lot of graded copies, but I mean, there must have been 15, 20 copies of it that were available at the show. And most of the vendors, I think only one vendor, I was like, he was way overpriced, like $400 or $500 overpriced of the grade, and he wasn't willing to, negotiate. And even at that point, even if you negotiate, even if he knocked, a couple $100 off, he'd still be higher, a couple $100 higher than anybody else. So it was like, I looked at his price, talked to him real quick, and it was like, all right, X'd him off my list.
Was that the one in the middle? There was this one. I was talking to Mark at Legion of Comics, and there was this one dealer in the middle that had the highest grade books that you could possibly imagine.
Yes, yeah, I think it was, yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, I can work with you on the price," and you give him price, and it was like mile high. They're priced not to sell.
Right.
Yeah, they were
Right.
just like I said, even if you really negotiated hard, you would still be paying more than any other vendor there. So,
Yeah, in order to get to a decent price, I would have to first insult you with an offer, and I'm not willing to do that. I'm just gonna go somewhere else.
right.
But I do think what Dave said is like that's what some vendors I have noticed do. They have books that are priced to catch your eye, but they are not priced to sell because that's what they want. They want that book to get you into their booth. They want to sell you the mid-range stuff. They want to keep that big tier. If they've got it priced like that, they don't want to sell it. And a lot of those dealers, I think, do use it. There was one at the Indiana Comic-Con, and they had a glass booth or a glass, case. And in that case were all these super expensive, highly desired keys. Nobody was buying those, but that got you to look at their wall, which was the stuff they were trying to move.
It's funny that I'm actually, Brian, do you recall if at Heroes they did, Heritage was there, so was Comic Connect, right? But they did a glass booth. I was hopeful that they would have that.
They had, if I remember right, because I was there too. That was my first year of YouTubing, and I was buying an Avengers Force, so I was sweaty and panicked, and I intentionally avoided anybody that I thought I might know. But I did see the Heritage booth. I think had just like 3 books, like in like a little glass, not display case, but they were like little glass display cubbies. But that was like all that they had. But it was the big Heritage. It was the big Heritage stand, and they had catalogs that you could flip through.
Yeah. So, because at San Diego they do have this long glass unit that they roll out, and you can see all the books. So I'd love if that I mean, that would be great for Heroes if they redid that, because it's you get to see all these mega keys in one place.
And now was Shortbox there last year? I don't think they were at Heroes, because I've seen them at other cons, and Shortbox usually has a really great display, and they have some major keys. AF-15. They have some big books, and they'll let you, take a picture, hold the book, that kind of thing. And so their booth is usually fun to see. I'm trying to think. I don't think they were at Heroes. I think the last time I saw them was probably at New York Comic Con, but they usually kind of roll out, some of their big books.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just saw this and got distracted. K-Munin, they'll have stuff. It might take you a second to find it, but Heroes Con has everything. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Heroes Con is my local Comic Con is SC Comic Con. That's the one that's closest to me, and it's a great show. I love Borderlands comics. They put on a great show, but it feels different than Heroes Con. Heroes Con is massive, and like I walked in, and I think one of the first booths that I walked past had like 8 AF-15s just like up on the wall, like in varying grades and stuff. Same story with like Hulk 181s, like all the big ticket books. There are multiple copies there that if you are that kind of collector, you could sift through them. And I had never seen something like that. So I immediately like walked in and started getting a little panicked.
Yeah, but it's funny, those big books that you just, I mean, I still prefer an auction to buy a book like that rather than necessarily going into, because to your point, Hagen, I'd feel like, well, how do I get it back? Like, I feel super nervous. Like, it's probably more likely to get stolen there than anywhere else.
Yeah.
I could very easily see that. I don't know if you guys saw it, but last year DJ Lynx did a video that was just him walking into the con and buying an AF-15 and then walking out. And I thought that was awesome and hilarious. But I could very easily see a universe where that video ends with somebody like running by him on the sidewalk, snatching it and running away, which would be awful, but also kind of funny.
Yeah, well, I think Justin Birch bought an AF-15 2 years ago there, and I think he bought the book, and then I think he went home. He just left.
Oh,
But he was
what the hell
done.
do you do after that?
He
what
dropped
do
the
you
mic
do?
and he left. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, like, you know, like Dave said, man, my nerves. I'd be.
Oh yeah.
What do you do? You just keep it with you the whole time. That makes me even more nervous. So like,
Yeah. I've traveled with expensive books, and it's the hotel safe doesn't even feel safe.
right, right.
Well, I was gonna say like the only thing that I could think to do would be, because I drove last year, would be like to lock it in my car. But an AF-15 is worth about 6 times what my car is worth, and I think I might be undershooting that actually. Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty nerve wracking. But again, all credit to DJ Links for doing that. I think it was a good good opportunity to make a video of it. So
I thought it was super cool. But yeah, so like we've got the con, we've got all that stuff to look forward to. I have a sort of list, but like I have an idea of what I'm looking for, just to sort of keep me from getting overwhelmed. But like Nate said, if I don't walk away with a single book, I think I'll be okay. I'm obviously buying something, obviously, but yeah, the thing that I'm most excited about is like this hangout that we've all got going on, and then meeting up with random people like in the hotel lobby. I think Eric from SideQuest is doing like a draw and drink thing on Friday night, and I am not an artist, but that sounds like a ton of fun. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff that I'm really excited to do.
the art auction is another one on the Saturday night. That is the one where pretty much everyone is there, and it can get quite rowdy, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Now, what is that?
So it's an art auction that they go around. You can submit pieces of art. So they submit pieces of art from all of the creators that are pieces of work from all of the creators that are there, and then they auction it off for charity on that night. So they're either like pieces that have been donated or created specifically for that art auction. So Scotty Young's, I can't remember how much it went for. It was in the thousands of dollars. Wow. Scotty Young's was the showcase piece. So he did this massive piece of work. So yeah, you get none of it's affordable, but it's good stuff. So yeah, that's one of the highlights as well, because you've got all the YouTube community, and they're all filming this, but they're all there as well. So it's like a hangout without being a hangout.
Well, and I think you see the artists like on Friday and Saturday, and they'll be working on their auction piece, and so you kind of see it in stages. But then Saturday night, they have everything up in the Westin in one of the like ballrooms or conference rooms. They'll have everything displayed, and you can kind of see it before the actual live auction starts. So, yeah, I was there. I didn't stay long. I was there. Maybe it was just mayhem in that auction room. So many people, and you're bumping shoulders with Scotty Young standing next to you, basically. Like all of the artists and that are there. So it was definitely fun to witness.
Yeah, I think only a couple of us bought pieces. I bid on a couple, but it was too rich for my blood. I was like, what's going on?
I was gonna say, I mean, do they let the pores in to just look, asking for a friend? The friend is
anybody can go. I'm not sure if you're going to win anything, but yeah, definitely. Eric said, you need some deep pockets.
I'm
Nate,
sure
you and I can combine our buying power, and we can put a $50 bid down for something.
Right. I know I won't be able to afford anything, but I'd love to go see it. Just I see a lot of people buying original art, and I'm like, man, that's cool.
Excuse me, Mrs. Prison, these are 50 of my crispiest dollar bills.
I will give $50 cash. The gentleman will realize that cash is not an enticement, and please leave without making a fuss. That's how I foresee the evening going.
Yeah, totally. Really quick, I'm perfectly content to keep chatting heroes with you guys, because there's a ton of stuff that I think that we can do. But if you guys brought stuff to show, I didn't want to be like disrespectful of that time that you spent doing that. So if you want to, go for it. If you would like to keep talking about the meetup that Cliff invited us all to in his hotel room that Friday and Saturday night, we can talk about that too.
I wanted to start with something that I picked up at a con yesterday, which when I picked it up deliberately because of you guys.
Oh,
So, so
Yes.
for this week, I'm Team America. So that I got the first appearance in Cap, but I hadn't got this. And when I saw this, I thought this is a perfect book for you both. It was half price, so it's only $4. And yeah, so there you go. I did a bit of research on them. I might do a video on them, to be honest, because it's quite interesting. They disappeared after like 2 years, and it's not it's not Team America the movie. It's
Team America World Police, probably the finest piece of art that Americans are responsible for creating.
But yeah, I thought when I saw this, I was like, oh, okay, I've just got to pick this up just for the show. So I wanted to share that with you.
That's really cool.
Cliff just put a comment in the live chat. I'm not going to make it big, but if you're interested, take a look at that.
I don't know what kind of con here Cliff's going to, but
I do.
Yeah, those are the ultra VIP passes. He's your concierge for those, or concierge for those, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's French. It's hard to pronounce. Dave, what else did you bring?
What else did I bring? I brought this which I was going to get some sketches in. This is my sketchbook, but I thought, seeing as it's on Hagen stream today, I wanted to show you this. This is in the sketchbook.
Oh, that's so cool.
That is Jim Chung. I had done at WonderCon. That's another thing I'm going to go. I do want to get more sketches in the sketchbook, so that's another goal for Heroes Con. But
that is so cool.
I mean, you say sketch, that's a full page. That's a splash.
Who did you say did that?
Jim Chung. So he is. I've got an X-Men 1. He did the full cover as well. So he's the guy that came up with the New Avengers. He was the New Avengers. Oh, not the New Avengers, Young Avengers. And he's done
okay, yeah.
So yeah, that's. I thought you'd appreciate that one, and I don't think I've shown it. Maybe I've shown it once, but I thought it'd be good for your.
I haven't seen it, and I do appreciate that. That looks so cool.
Really cool.
Detail on it is fabulous, and you're right. It's very good value. Very good value for what you get, right? Like he really does put the effort in. So. You're right. It's probably like a page, like a proper page, right?
Yeah, it really looks
absolutely great. That just needs color, and then that can go in a book. Like, no question about that at all.
That's the other thing about Heroes too. There are some other non-mainstream artists that are there that you can get sketch covers done. There's a lot of opportunity to spend money. Let's put it.
Oh, good.
Yeah. No, there are tons of things to spend money on there. Like I know that this isn't comic book related, but I, like a bunch of kids my age, really, really want a lightsaber, like really badly. And there's a whole like booth that lets you pick out, and I'm debating on doing that this time.
Every con last at the Indie Comic Con, my son was like, he was into it, and he saw the I think the base price or something was advertised. It was like $99.99, and he had $100. He's like, I got $100. I'm getting me a lightsaber. And so when we finally made it up to that booth, and he realized what it was going to cost for him to have the kind he wanted, not the $99 one, I was actually really proud of him. He went backed away. He was done.
Yeah,
like, I'm out.
Hey, Dad, how do you refinance a mortgage?
What is a home equity line of credit?
I was about to say,
anyway?
I need something called a HELOC, apparently. Oh, man. Brian, did you bring anything for show and tell today?
I did. I recently picked up a bunch of 10 sub 100 ASM books, and this is just one of my other favorite covers. ASM 39 John Romita Senior covers, but this is one of my other really favorite covers. So not a big key or anything, but I mean,
No.
any book under sub 100 ASMs are typically pricey anyway. But this is just one of the. I just love this cover. So
That's fantastic.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I think ASM 39 is probably and I have it, but it's in my slab box. I have slabbed, and I think that's one of my favorite covers of all time. But I mean, any of the John Romita Senior stuff is really good. So that's one of the runs I'm working on. But that's kind of very slow and steady pickups. When you can find deals, you try to grab those when you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Brian, can we pivot? Can we pivot for a minute? Because I do want to let you talk about your comic book, The Doctor.
Sure.
And JSS had asked earlier. Actually, you know what? Speaking of JSS, let's start there. This is your first time on the Sunday. This used to be your slot. This is the time period that you used to host.
I started at 10 a.m. on Saturdays, and then my wife works in retail, and her schedule changed where she was off on Saturdays. Where she was working, and then she was off, and so I moved from Saturdays to Sundays, and then I did that for I think close to a year, and then her schedule changed again, where she's off on Sundays and works on Saturdays. So I flipped it again. So yeah, between the Saturday and Sunday spots, I've bounced around a little bit, but I appreciate you guys holding the spot down.
I just wanted to acknowledge that, I mean, this was, I was always like in the chat or listening while I was doing something when you would do breakfast with Brian. Right, I thought it was a fun little way to like drink my coffee and get my Sunday started.
Yeah, it started because it just, for me, it worked in my schedule where if I did something early on the weekend, then I had the rest of the day to go do whatever I had to do, and chores or shopping or whatever it may be. But I would listen to a lot of other stuff that people were if people were live streaming in the background. But and it was 4 years ago, I was kind of looking for a time slot where nobody was streaming, and Saturday mornings were wide open at that time. And now there's so many channels that you can't find an open time slot really, because everybody's kind of live streaming now. So yeah, it was nice to kind of settle into that spot. But yeah, so The Doctor. So when I got back into collecting, 4 or 5 years ago, my background is I studied film production and television production in college. And my goal, my dream was to work in, Hollywood, films, TV, but it didn't happen. My first job was with a cable company, and so I was in kind of the broadcasting side of things, but it was more on the origination. We were in charge of channels like AMC, Bravo, IFC. We were like the broadcast point. We originated that channel and sent it out to the world. And so when I got involved in that industry, it was very analog back in the day. Everything was done on tape. It started to become computerized, and I kind of gravitated towards the IT side of things, and then basically kind of went down an IT career, and that's kind of where I ended up. But I have always in the back of my mind had the desire to, produce a film or write a film, direct a film. And so when I got back into collecting, I started seeing all of the Kickstarters and independent books that were being created. And I said, well, I can accomplish a very similar thing, telling a story and kind of directing the visuals in a comic book. And it's a lot less expensive and a lot less time to produce a comic book as opposed to a feature film or a TV show. And so that really kind of sparked the idea to get back into writing and creating a book, and kind of talked to a couple other people who have done it, and got some information, found an artist, wrote a script, and soon a couple months after I had my first book. And so kickstarted that and had big community support, and then did the second issue, and again had incredible support from the community. And now we're working on book 3. So
Awesome.
Yeah. So the story, the doctor is the main character, Dr. Mike Miller. He's a psychiatrist who helps superheroes or mutant superpowered people with their everyday problems, their BS that they deal with in their regular lives. Because the thought I had with the story was that if the superhero has or a superpowered person has a bad day, and somebody flips them off at the stoplight when they're driving home, there could be different consequences. If they have super strength or infrared, so there's a lot of different elements that you could add to the story. And I also thought of it as you could have this revolving bunch of characters that come in to see the doctor, and so you can introduce new issues or new characters. And so I kind of set up the storyline to be kind of something that could be flexible in the storytelling. So so we have 2 issues done, and like I said, issue 3 is in the works. I actually just got 3 pages back, first 3 pages of issue 3 from the artist yesterday, and really excited. And I've got some other story ideas that I'm working on as well, beyond just the doctor, to bring to life. I'm working. My next story is kind of a sci-fi story that I'm working on.
How did you, because I think there's a lot of people, possibly even watching this, who might be interested in thinking about putting an original project together. But the biggest stopper for a lot of people is, I don't draw and I don't know anybody who does. How did you go about finding your artist?
So that was one of my dilemmas too, was like, well, who do I, who could I work with? Who's going to do the art? And obviously there's a number of great community artists, but most of us have, jobs, and, it's kind of spare time we're doing these things. So I didn't really approach anybody from the community to look at creating the interiors, although I think there's a number of artists that are capable. I found a number of Facebook groups. So there's a number of Facebook groups that are for artists, indie comic book creators. And there's, I think I'm in 4 or 5 different groups, but there's plenty of them. And so I basically went on there, made a post and said, this is what I'm looking for. Got a ton of responses. And you'll find a number of artists, here in the United States and all across the world. And they'll work for various, prices. Most artists will charge you a per page price. And it can go from $25 per page to $400 or $500 per page. I mean, it can range.
Yeah.
And so, you try to find what your budget is, or some artists will work, well, I'll do 20 pages for a set flat rate. So you have to, decide on a style and an artist and a price point. And then, we're working through email and messenger and things like that. And so you have to be careful, because there are a lot of scams that are out there for people to say, oh, well, pay me half up front and I'll produce the art. And I would never recommend anybody paying anybody anything until you get something you see something produced, because a lot of people are messing around with AI and there's a lot of different scams out there. So you certainly have to be careful. I looked for the artist I was looking, communicating with. I the kind of vet them, make sure they were on IG or they had a website. And believe it or not, you'll see people posting up, that type of stuff, even in a scam. So you just kind of got to do your homework and have a good feeling, or even ask recommendations within the group. Has anybody ever worked with this artist? And you'll see if if anybody else has had, any experience with them. So
I was going to ask about that, because I know that I've seen it mostly with like Instagram sellers, where somebody will say like, this Instagram seller is really, really excellent, or this one like totally scam this person out of their money.
Right.
Or Instagram sellers will even say like, this is a great buyer, like this person is a great buyer, or this person like claimed all this stuff in a live show and then never showed up. And so the community is very useful, not just for like those warm fuzzies, but also for like practical economic purchases.
And you'll find that in these Facebook groups, the same thing. You know, people will send recommendations or say, "Hey, I worked with so and so and I had a problem. You know, I paid him, I didn't get any work," or whatever the case may be. But yeah, so you just kind of have to do your homework, because you know, when you're working with maybe an artist outside of the United States, you know, there could be a time difference, there could be maybe even a communication gap. And so you just have to be careful. You gotta, you know, kind of do as much homework as you can.
Mhm.
So was it is it digital, the art that you did for the
Yes.
book, or was it okay? Because
Yeah, digital. I mean, most new artists would work, you know, or most artists that you'll find online will work digitally. Obviously, that makes it easy to be able to send the files, the completed work.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to have the traditional, you know, somebody doing, you know, pencils on paper, because, you know, that's something that you could use in a Kickstarter campaign. You know, having original art. You know, I think that there's some benefit to that with a Kickstarter. But you know, a lot of artists will work, you know, digitally today.
Okay. I like that idea, because to your point, you could really ramp up your Kickstarter then, right? So
Yeah, you know, and that's the thing with Kickstarter, right? You want to try to offer some unique things to be able to help raise some, you know, additional money to support the, you know, support the book, support the project.
I think it's really good, because I love the idea of it. So the fact that you've done it is just kudos to you, because
Yeah,
I mean, I think
you know,
it's an
it was
awesome
just one of those things. Like, I
accomplishment.
could think about it forever, but I finally just said, let me try to take the plunge and see what happens. Worst case, if it doesn't go anywhere, if I complete one book, well, then I can say I've completed one book. Or if, you know, if it doesn't get funded or whatever the case may be, at least I've attempted and tried. And you know, at the end of the day, at least I still, like I said, I had that book in hand. So, but yeah, I mean, I can't thank the community enough, you know, for the support. If I want to continue, I think I just need to figure out how can I grow it to a wider audience, because, you know, I can't expect that the community, as generous as the community is, that, you know, look, we all have our own goals of collecting, and there's you know, there's only so much money that we have to spend, and there's a lot of different projects. There are a number of community members who are doing Kickstarters, and so, you know, there's only so much money to spend. So I'm trying to think of how can I grow it beyond, you know, beyond the community.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, it's a really cool accomplishment. And yeah, a lot of people think about it. A lot of people have tried and not been able to make it happen. So you've done it twice and have a third one coming, and you get to wrap up. I remember talking to you before. You said that'll wrap up your storyline for this character.
Yeah, it kind of completes the story arc for this you know, the 3 issues. Yeah.
It's outstanding, man. It's outstanding, and it's available as physical copies and digital. So
Yes.
I
think I just so I did a print run, I think, of about 250 books for issue 1, and I think I'm sold out on issue 1, but we have issue 2, and issue 1 is available digitally, you know, and I have considered at some point maybe, you know, getting a table out of con, but I'm not sure if I'm there yet. I think I want to have at least the 3 issues complete and kind of have a little bit more of a body of work before I, you know, attempt to table at a con.
Sure.
But there's a lot of opportunity. We have a lot of local cons, you know, near me in South Carolina. So.
Well, I was just gonna say, get a table at a con when you get like Mark Spears to do a foil variant for your second print of number 1.
Right. Yeah.
There was a question. I think it was our friend JSS again. For Dave. Dave, what are you doing? Because you're in the States. traveling. He wanted to know if you were meeting up with like anybody else. Are you doing a meetup with anybody, and what are you going to go digging for? Like when you have a chance, where and what?
Now, you mean this trip? Or I'm assuming
Yes, this trip. Are you going to do any comic book hunting while you're in California?
Wants your exact location and a schedule at least 15-minute blocks, preferably 5.
Yeah,
but yeah.
I'm like, so I will be. I'm not going to go any more comic hunting. I did that all yesterday. I got that out.
Okay.
So I did the convention, and then I foolishly drove from Ontario, California to Burbank, California, and then back down to the Balboa Peninsula. So I'm sort of in Newport Beach at the moment. Then I'll fly out this afternoon to Northern California. So then that's the work. That's work, and that's what I'm doing. But comic wise, I will probably try and catch up with John from Bronze and Modern Gods today, and then do another live, just going through the books that I picked up yesterday. So that's my comic hunting, whilst I'm in transit essentially.
That's cool.
Cool.
What con did you go to?
Comic Con Revolution, which I was gonna go pre-COVID to that one, and JR was there actually for that one, but then it all got pulled. It was actually it was booked for 2020, and then everything turned to custard. So
yeah,
custard. That's a very generous way of putting that.
A very, very kind word for dumpster fire that lasted 3 years.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pivot again. Brian,
how dare you?
I'm doing it. So Brian and Cliff, you guys co-hosted the CBC Awards announcement stream, and there are some changes this year, some things that you have decided to do differently. Dave is a community award winner, so congrats on his win last year, well deserved. But is there anything you want to say about the awards, like anything that's different, or how the nomination process is going to work this year? Because you put a lot into that too. Like you gotta.
Yeah, I mean, we had and Dave is actually on the committee this year. So there was a lot of good discussion in the committee of how we want to shape the awards this year, and so that's where the changes came from. There was a lot of back and forth about how we shape the awards. I mean, I think we've kind of reskinned some of the award categories, but for the most part, they're the same. We've changed some of the tier criteria. So we changed around, and we don't have, we used to have over 5,000 subscribers. And so we kind of lowered that to really recognize some of the kind of smaller or mid-size channels. And the big thing we introduced this year was the Ring of Honor. So anybody who has won a particular award 3 years in a row, they're basically getting retired from that award. And really the main idea behind that was really to help recognize, other channels. We've had 3 people that have won awards 3 years in a row. Actually, Comic Tom won the Spec Award 4 years in a row. And so it's really just the idea behind that was really, like I said, to give opportunity to other channels to be winners in those categories. And I mean, recognize, in my mind, I think we're recognizing the outstanding achievement by those other channels. I know there's been at least one of the Ring of Honor who kind of felt like maybe it was it wasn't a good idea, but it's something the committee decided on. And like I said, it's really the idea behind the awards is really just to recognize, and have fun with the community. So,
yeah, I found a lot of people last year, a lot of channels to watch through, not even like the official nominees, but just like that first big list, where basically anybody who got their name thrown in the hat. There were a lot of people who I'm still watching today. So there, and like you said, I think, I know I consider myself still a new channel And there's just a lot of people out there that have jumped in the last year behind me even. And I think it's cool. I think everybody that's doing this just loves to talk about books, and we don't have anyone to talk with. So we're jumping out here into the internet. And I love it. I love that the community continues to grow. We continue to get different viewpoints and people who are into different kinds of books. And yeah, I watched the stream. I liked a lot of what you guys had to say about what you changed and why you changed it. People should check that out if they're curious. And the nominations open soon. They open
June 7th.
Yeah, first week of June. So yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm excited to see, every year it's interesting to see what new channels get nominated, like you said, or some of the older favorite channels that people tend to gravitate towards. So it's always fun because I always discover there are channels that will come in, nominated channels that not even on my radar, never heard of, or maybe they're new. So it's a discovery for me as well, going through that nomination list and finding new channels.
I'm going to create about 1,000 different Gmail addresses and nominate Mike from Lunch Money Comics as best new channel, like so many times. I'm gonna waste you and Cliff's time. You have to sort through all that bullshit. I'm so excited. Can't wait.
Well, you usually can tell when somebody has sent their grandmother or their uncle to vote for them, because you'll see the same channel across all 30 categories. It's the same channel. It's like, okay, well, they can't be the new channel and they can't be under 500 subs and 2,000 subs. So it's just funny when you see some of the nominations.
You just see a ton of submissions for chunky comics, and you're like, who the hell is Chonko?
Yes.
It's a rookie mistake. Yes, give them a cheat sheet.
There definitely is some creative spelling going on for sure.
Hey, we're readers, not spellers. Two very different skills. Trust me, I have to teach both.
Dave, if you don't say fist with your toes, I'm kicking you off the stream right now.
Well, funny that I've got no shoes on and I'm doing that.
Awesome.
Do like sleep. It's generally the only way. And try and sleep on the time zone you're in. So that's the biggest tip I've ever had. And it works. The night before, if you know you're going to land at a different time zone, you try and sleep or cut your sleep short so you can sleep in the new time zone as soon as possible. And even if that means drinking coffee at like 3 o'clock in the morning, something like that.
I could do that. This is a really good question, and this would go with anybody like traveling to Heroes Con or anywhere else. How do you pack your books safely for travel? What do you use?
So I've got comic book backpacks, the Jim Lee ones. I've got a number of those. I've got 4 of those. They fit perfectly in a big suitcase. And then I got the BCW comic book. Let me see if I've got one to hand. Oh, yes.
Yeah, I was just going to say, yeah.
These.
A little.
So these are great. And every single time I'll buy these.
One of those.
I'll buy these.
I got to get one. Yeah.
These come with me. And then I'll either put them in the bags in the suitcase, or I'll have hand luggage where I'll just carry them, depending on the value or the price of the book.
Yeah, I mean, these fit well, like in a backpack. You can fit, a couple of these in a backpack. So that's what I'll do. Like when I go to Heroes, I'll probably throw 2 or 3 of these in a backpack, and as I pick up books, I'll just drop them in here.
Yeah, they're great. They're fabulous. And and again, you can just chuck them either in a suitcase or you can chuck them into hand luggage when you find
it. Comic shells, another recommendation.
Yeah, I got the same thing.
Oh wow. I guess I'm the only one who doesn't know how to travel with books. I just throw them in a backpack unprotected and hope for the best.
So the other thing
what I have done before is because Dave, I was just about to say, we get sent, I don't know about y'all, but I get sent Geminis all the damn time.
Oh,
and I don't know what to do with all of them because I don't sell or ship books like super often. But I've taken like 5 or 6 of them, because you can jam about 5 or 6 of them into a backpack, and then that's just a very like, I wouldn't put like a raw AF-15 in one of those,
Right.
but like you're going dollar bin hunting, you just need something to keep the wreckage together. Like, just, yeah, Gemini's in a backpack works perfectly fine.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
exactly.
Yeah, I'm out of. Oh no, I've got one more question. Anybody read anything this week they want to talk about? Anything that was cool?
I read a couple things, so I don't have them. I don't think I have them on me right now. And some of them I read digitally, definitely legally.
Right.
One of the things that I read was the first couple issues of the Flintstones, which was amazing. Obviously,
Great book.
and you start reading it, and you're immediately like, this feels like very serious subject matter with dinosaurs taped over the top of it. Like I didn't think that I would tear up about a vacuum cleaner, but I did tear up about a vacuum cleaner.
I'm glad I'm not alone.
So I read that. There's a graphic novel called Here, and it is just like a portrait of a room, like a living room, at different points in its history. And so it goes from like the 1700s to currently to way in the future to way in the past, and it's just a really fascinating like a vignette sort of story. That was really, really good. And I've also been reading my library found me a copy of Junji Ito's Uzumaki, which is like a collection of horror stories centered around like the concept of spirals. And Nate, you would like it because it's horrific body horror.
Yes, I've read Spirals. It's insane, and
It's
I
nuts.
just got from my library Monsters by him, and I don't know what it is, but come on, it's gonna be it is manga horror done right.
Yeah, but that's what I've been reading.
Brian, did you read anything great this week?
I'm trying to look at the list. You know, I've been reading Space Ghost.
I've heard it's really fun.
And it's been fun. It's been such a fun read. I'm looking at my pull list from last week, and so I read Miles Morales. Cody Ziegler is the writer, and he's done a good job, but they have crammed so many like crossovers and other characters in the series. Since they did the first story arc was really about Miles, and now we're on issue like 33, and it just feels like, I think it was the first story arc was maybe 4 issues. And then since then, it's really just been jam-packed with, there was gang war, there was a Carnage, there was the vampire thing. It just seems like Miles just hasn't been his own book in like 25 issues. So, yeah, it's just, I hope that series kind of gets back to just telling a Spider-Man story. And the only absolute title I've been continue to read is Batman. And it's been so much fun. It's just, it's kind of over the top, but it's just a fun read.
I don't know why, like, it is over the top, but it never like, and it's ridiculously stupid, like so many of the things, but I totally like buy in and love it. Whereas some other books might do the exact same thing and it would not work for me. So I still have not figured out why tonally I love it in this book, but I do. Absolute Batman continues to be like so much fun.
I think because it's kind of like an easy read, you don't really have to think too much about it. You know, it's just kind of a different take on Batman, and it's a little, like I said, a little over the top. But I love the story, but I'm not, losing sleep over thinking about the story. So
I think it probably works so well because even in his mainline comics, Batman has survived re-entry. Like with nothing but his wits and his will to survive. And so if you jump the shark like that in regular books, like of course, he has like a roid-filled, explosion-centric,
Right. A
fuck
dump
you of
truck
a
for a
title.
Batmobile. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, loved it. Dave, how about you? What'd you read this week?
So I've been picking up Hyde Street past the Ghost Machine universe, and that's I love that book.
Our friend Dope loves that book. I need to check it out.
It's so good. And the other one that I finally got around to reading is because for some reason issue 4 of Mark Spear's Monsters hasn't hit Australia yet. I'm not sure if it's in the US. So I'm waiting. That's one I'm looking forward to reading because I really enjoy that series. I mean, art-wise, it's stunning.
Yeah,
And the story's great as well. Like, I mean, and I was raving about it from issue 1. And it's so funny to see how Mark Spears has suddenly exploded. It's fabulous. But I'm getting a bit dizzy from all of the variants.
yeah.
It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
too much.
I don't know how he is pumping them out like that, because he is pumping them out and he is doing, I mean, Captain Planet and a bunch of DC variants and the it's not X-Force. What is the X-Force that's not X-Force from Rob Liefeld? Youngblood.
Youngblood.
He did that Youngblood cover.
Yeah, he sure the hell did. I hope that, and I know that he's a grown-ass man, but I hope that he is protecting like his own mental state, because I know for a fact that these companies would just he's really, really hot right now. They will beat him like a dead horse until he stops printing out money, and it has to be up to him to say, like, I actually can't do any more this month, or I will absolutely hate myself. And he's way too talented for us to like lose him as an artist to burnout. So I just hope that he's all right.
Yeah, I hope he's enjoying what he's doing for sure.
The work is just like I ignore, and to your point, that there's so much of it, and I'm like, how do you I'd love to know more on the process. I know there's
I would too,
3D models involved, which probably does alleviate a lot of the a lot of that sort of heavy lifting to some degree, because once you've built the model, you can just pose, right? So that probably solves a lot of that problem. But still, even then, there's this like layer of color that is, I mean, it's not just one thing. It's not just like the 3D model. It's the way that he lights them, the way that they're colored, and also I do think he does a great job on when he does those homage covers, like the Swipe, right? And the effort, knowing the effort in design that would take. I'm like, that's the thing that probably takes the time, because that is like, you've got to go and source all of this different, not material, but you've got to you've got to do your due diligence to make it as accurate, and he does make it accurate. So
I really like what I have liked about Mark Spears that I've seen is like it's that pop culture piece too, that he like the Return of the Living Dead and just like you said, the homages and swaps, a lot of that stuff. Obviously, like he's a middle-aged guy that grew up around the same time I did, so like those things, it hits that nostalgia button, and I do love that, and I think I love what Chonko said, that he's on Beyond Wednesdays every week and seems really happy. And that's what I want. I want him living his best life. And if he needs to slow down, to say, I'm going to slow down, because this is his moment. He should revel in it.
Dave, do you have the Ark of the Covenant or the briefcase from Pulp Fiction in front of you?
Yeah. All these, you're disco lighting.
My light, so I actually have portable lights that I bring with me when I'm traveling.
You still even on the road, you're putting on a slick show.
I have a reading light that I stole from my wife, and a webcam that I think I found on the side of the road.
And he swears he's going to clean that lens one day.
Eventually, I'll spit shine it. It'll look real good.
I don't know if you noticed, the camera has gone off twice, and I've had to move because the camera this. Never buy the Sony camera, because they always overheat after like an hour. But there's a trick where you can turn them off and on again, and they'll come back on. But I'm probably killing the camera. But yeah, I travel with this stuff because You never know when you've got an impromptu live stream like this.
That's awesome.
And we demand the utmost quality here.
Absolutely, we do. It's got to be top notch. Last week, I was lucky enough to interview and sit down with Mark Russell. So I spent the week rereading everything of his that I own, and a lot of the stuff of his that I've gotten from the library. So I had to like kind of go from memory and look some things up. But I read Serial.
When was his Flintstone series? When was that?
I want to say like 2010-ish, maybe.
Oh,
Okay. So in Serial, he's taken like all the monsters like Count Chocula and Frankenberry and the Fruit Brute, and he's turned it into this like medieval kingdom. They all have different names. So it's the Marquis de Coco, and but it's good. It's classic. It's good.
Oh, that's so good.
Snagglepuss is all about the house, like 1950s House of Un-American Activities, blacklisting celebrities and calling people communist, and it's all told through the lens of somebody who is a closeted homosexual because he has to be during that time to be a playwright. It's like the Flintstones. It's something that is so much deeper than the source material, and it's wild. Prez was a relaunch of the title Prez, the first teenage president from DC. This is I think what he did before the Flintstones. I can't see now, that escapes me, but this was around the same time. And this was great. It's unfortunately kind of unfinished because it was supposed to be 12 issues and wasn't. And I love the Justice League International, and this was One Star Squadron that he wrote, which has a lot of those vibes. It's like heroes barely making it, and they're like, they even do birthday parties. Like they have an app, it's like Uber for superheroes, and it's never to fight crime. It's always to do an appearance somewhere, which was hysterical. And then what he said on that interview, he said the best thing I've ever written is Traveling to Mars, which I hadn't read. It's I think a 4-issue or 5-issue series. So I went ahead, like soon as we got off the stream, I ordered the trade of this because I really wanted to check that out and haven't read it yet.
That's in my cart. If he said that it's his favorite thing, then I have to.
That's what I said.
You got
that. I got I didn't get the one I wanted. My shop didn't have it, but this Josh Middleton cover is a perfectly acceptable other variant. I really liked. I liked this. It was cute. It was bouncy. There are a lot of words. I appreciate like having something to actually read. So it's, they put Supergirl back in Midvale, and there's a different Supergirl, maybe. I don't exactly know what's going on, but yeah, I did enjoy it. And what K Munin just asked, like, I am curious to see what Matt thinks of it. But my read of the week is a weird one that caught my eye, and I love a weird one. This is Hot Valley Days and Cocaine Nights, #1. And this is from Keenspot, which is the same company putting out all the Mark Spears stuff. And it says it's based on a true story, and it feels very Boogie Nights, like it's about this small town girl who grows up in a rough situation, moves to Los Angeles, and she, along the way, she becomes a cocaine dealer. And it says it's a true story, and I'm like, well, I don't know, if that's true or not. And I still don't know if it's true or not. But the last 2 pages are a bunch of photographs with like identities redacted, which I don't know if it's really the people that are in this, or if it's just, if it's just part of the layering of the story. Either way, I really liked it. It is not like it's not an over the top thing. Like, it feels kind of like a crime book. So it's only going to be a 3-issue series. And after reading this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tell my shop to get me the next 2, because I am afraid maybe it won't sell well. I haven't heard anybody talk about it, but I got it because I thought the cover looked like Grand Theft Auto, and it made me laugh.
Yeah, very Vice City.
Right? Exactly. I mean, all I can hear is Flock of Seagulls in my head when I look at that cover.
Well, I am hearing my dog start to make protestations. But before we end this, is there anything that you guys have coming up that you wanna plug and promote? Yeah, go for it. It's your time to shine, y'all.
Do it.
I usually have nothing major videos, and I'll be live next Saturday, and then June 7th, nominations for the CBC Awards. We have a separate CBC Awards channel, so if you're not following that, if you guys can follow that, because that's where everything is going to take place. We kind of wanted to separate it from my channel, just as we move forward. If in the future that if we turn the awards over to maybe somebody else in the future, that it was kind of separate from my personal channel. So definitely go give that a follow if you can.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Nothing out of the ordinary for me too. Just trying to keep up the regular weekly long form videos, and then the live streams, which will be on doing the live stream slightly earlier today. So I'll do about 1:30 here in the West Coast this afternoon, which is just basically talking about the books that I picked up over the last couple of days. So
Very cool.
Very cool.
I'm organizing the meetup at Heroes. So a lot of it is just Heroes prep, right? Because it's only a month away, right?
Cool.
Yeah, you're being an absolute champion with organizing that stuff.
Yeah,
well, that's the other thing I was going to say. We've got that is one thing I want to call out. There's Ryan Colossus Collectors thinking about doing a pre-Heroes, so probably be part of that.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's going to be coming up.
I think that's on like the 29th.
30th. It's a Friday. Yeah, it's a Friday. Let's see. I got a couple of things I queued up here. So on Tuesday night, FOMO Squad, we're doing an art jam. We're going to draw, and we want you to come draw with us. We're going to have a theme, and there's no rules. Just draw like connected to the theme however you feel like. And we're going to start with DC versus Marvel.
Only one of us actually draws too.
Oh, so. Yes. Eric from SideQuest is actually an artist, and the rest of us are going to draw stick people fighting indistinguishable lumps. I can't wait. But so it's something that we just kind of started kicking around. And yeah, Eric drew that. It's really good. I'm really excited to see what he chooses to do. Next Sunday, the guest is going to be Rich from Big Nasty Comics. So look forward to hanging out with him. That'll be on my channel next weekend. And then the Sunday lineup, everything's coming. So Church is going. And then Dave, you're at 1:30 today?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the wrong time. But yes.
Oh, what is the time?
4:30 in, I think, East Coast, right? That's East Coast time.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 1:30 Pacific, but it's going to be 4:30.
Yeah.
And then, sorry, I'm having trouble reading that one. Council of Comics at 5, Heroes for Hire at 6, Legion at Week's End at 8:30, and oh man, it just keeps going today. Oh, Katie's going late too. So Black Crown Comics at 9, and then kicking it with K-pop War Lion at 10. So you can watch comic book YouTube all day long if you want to.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, like you said, Brian, it's just kind of wild how many streams there are going. And the other day, I opened up my app and saw there were 3 or 4 channels I watched doing a live stream at the same time. I don't remember what day of the week it is, but yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we need some more people to maybe quit their day jobs so they can stream like Monday through Friday. Like 8 a.m. to like 5 p.m. I think we need more people.
Yeah, there's a huge drought of people doing comic book stuff. We need more people to be more actively focused on that.
Yeah,
Monday to Fridays are just very drought. There's not very little content. We need to run. We need more.
Well, man, we had a lot of people in the chat, and thank you as always to those people for being here. And Dave and Brian, thank you very much to you two guys for just coming and hanging out with us on a Sunday morning as the weekend slowly slips away from us and we go back to work tomorrow.
Well, yeah, thank you to the two of you guys for hanging out with us. It was a ton of fun. Thank you everybody in the chat for hanging out, and we will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye.